Welcome to this exploration of technocracy and its role in shaping the modern world. Technocracy, as a system of governance, promotes the idea that experts in science and technology, rather than elected officials, are best suited to manage society. This idea, which first gained attention in the early 20th century, is now making a resurgence through global movements like sustainable development and smart city initiatives. As the world faces increasing complexity, from economic instability to environmental concerns, technocrats argue that traditional political systems are no longer capable of addressing these challenges effectively. Instead, they propose a new order, one built on data-driven decisions, scientific management of resources, and the gradual erosion of national sovereignty. Technocracy is not just an abstract concept. It is a growing force influencing global governance, reshaping economies, and redefining the way societies are organized. Through this video, we will explore the foundations of technocracy, its resurgence in modern governance, and its potential consequences for democracy, individual freedoms, and the global order. Stay with us as we dive deeper into the history, evolution, and impact of technocracy in today's world. The concept of technocracy emerged in the early 20th century, particularly during a time of economic collapse and social upheaval. The Great Depression of the 1930s left the United States and much of the world in a state of despair. Traditional economic systems had failed, with the stock market crash of 1929 leading to massive unemployment, poverty, and the failure of thousands of banks. By 1932, the economy had shrunk by 31%, and international trade had dropped by two-thirds. In this context of widespread disillusionment, a new idea began to gain traction. The idea that politicians and traditional economic systems were incapable of solving society's most pressing problems. Technocracy, as a proposed solution, suggested that technical experts, scientists, engineers, and technologists should take over the management of society. Technocrats argued that societal decisions should be made based on scientific principles rather than political agendas or capitalist profit motives. They envisioned a new system where all aspects of economic and social life would be controlled and optimized by experts using data and rational planning. This was in direct contrast to the existing systems, which they saw as inefficient and prone to corruption. One of the most radical aspects of the technocratic vision was its approach to economics. Technocrats proposed a shift away from the traditional monetary system, replacing money with energy certificates. These certificates would be distributed to individuals based on the amount of energy they consumed, creating a system where resources were managed scientifically and economic activity was based on energy use rather than market forces. Although technocracy briefly gained attention in the early 1930s, it faced significant opposition and was ultimately dismissed by the mainstream as too radical. However, the movement did not disappear. Its core ideas would later resurface and evolve, particularly in the context of global governance and sustainable development. Today, technocratic principles continue to influence the way societies are governed, often in ways that are less visible but equally impactful. Technocracy has found a new form of expression in the modern world through the global push for sustainable development. Sustainable development, as it is promoted today, is deeply connected to the principles of technocracy. The core belief of technocracy, that society should be managed by experts using scientific data, aligns with the objectives of sustainable development initiatives. One of the key moments in the resurgence of technocratic ideals came in the form of the United Nations Agenda 21 and the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. These global frameworks were established with the aim of addressing complex challenges such as climate change, resource depletion, and poverty. However, the methods proposed to achieve these goals reflect the same technocratic ideals that were proposed in the 1930s. Global problems require global solutions, and those solutions should be implemented by experts, not politicians. In technocratic systems, experts and data are placed at the center of decision-making processes. The idea is that scientists and technical specialists who understand the complexities of these global issues are better suited to manage resources and guide economic and social policies. This technocratic approach is evident in the way international organizations, such as the United Nations, emphasize the need for centralized global governance to manage the planet's resources and ensure sustainability. One of the risks of this approach is that it often bypasses democratic processes. Decisions are made by experts who are not directly accountable to the public, and the power of national governments is diminished as authority shifts toward global institutions. This raises concerns about the erosion of national sovereignty, as countries are increasingly required to follow guidelines set by international bodies rather than their own elected representatives. The alignment between technocracy and sustainable development is also seen in the way resources are managed. Just as technocrats advocate for the scientific management of resources in a controlled system, sustainable development initiatives promote similar strategies for resource allocation. The goal is to create a system where resources are conserved and distributed efficiently, reducing waste and ensuring long-term sustainability. However, the centralization of control over resources brings with it concerns about individual freedoms and the ability of nations to govern themselves independently. In short, the modern push for sustainable development has become a vehicle for technocratic governance. The growing influence of technocratic principles in international organizations and global policies highlights a shift toward a world where decision-making is increasingly controlled by experts rather than by democratic processes. Smart cities are driven by the concept of extensive and continuous data collection, where every action and process in the city is monitored in real time. The foundation of a smart city is built on the integration of technologies like sensors, cameras, and tracking systems to observe and record data from various aspects of urban life. This includes traffic patterns, energy consumption, waste management, and even personal behaviors within public spaces. The central idea is that the more data collected, the more efficiently the city can be managed. Through the use of these advanced technologies, smart cities aim to optimize the distribution of resources. Traffic flow can be adjusted in real time to prevent congestion. Energy use can be reduced by monitoring consumption habits, and public services can be delivered more efficiently. The city essentially becomes a controlled environment where data guides decisions that are meant to enhance sustainability and operational efficiency. However, while these developments promise a more streamlined and efficient urban environment, they also introduce significant concerns about privacy and individual freedom. The widespread implementation of surveillance technology in smart cities, such as facial recognition systems and digital tracking, leads to an environment where citizens are constantly monitored. Every movement, transaction, and interaction can be logged, analyzed, and stored. This level of surveillance is aligned with the principles of technocratic governance, where data is seen as the key to managing society. Human behavior becomes just another metric to be optimized and controlled. The extensive tracking of individuals within a smart city is justified by the goal of making the city more efficient, but it opens the door to the erosion of personal freedoms. Citizens living in a smart city may unknowingly become part of a massive data collection system, where their privacy is compromised for the sake of technological control. In a system where data is prioritized above all else, individual autonomy can easily be overridden by the needs of the system. The idea that everything can be optimized, including human behavior, reflects the core of technocratic thinking. The belief is that society can be more effectively managed through constant surveillance and data-driven decision-making, without the need for traditional democratic processes. Citizens may have less say in how their lives are governed, as decisions are made based on data rather than public input. The rise of smart cities brings into focus a key tension between efficiency and freedom. While these cities may offer benefits in terms of energy savings, reduced congestion, and better public services, they also risk creating a society where individuals are constantly monitored and controlled. The trade-off between technological control and personal freedom is a significant issue in the development of smart cities. As cities become smarter, they may also become less free, as technocratic systems of control take precedence over the rights of individuals. The technocratic model proposes a fundamentally different economic system compared to traditional capitalism or socialism. Central to this idea is the replacement of money with energy certificates. In this system, every individual would be issued energy certificates, which represent their personal share of the total energy produced by the economy. These certificates would serve as the new form of currency, determining the purchasing power of each citizen based on the amount of energy used to produce goods and services. The economy, under this model, is managed entirely based on energy production and consumption. Goods and services would no longer be priced according to supply and demand, as is the case in capitalist economies. Instead, the price of any good or service would be based solely on the energy required to produce it. This shift to a resource-based economy is seen as a way to eliminate inefficiencies and reduce waste, ensuring that resources are used as efficiently as possible. In this technocratic vision, private ownership of property would be abolished. All land, natural resources, and means of production would be collectively owned and controlled by the governing technocrats. This centralized control would allow for the precise allocation of resources based on scientific principles, rather than market forces or political interests. The economy would be managed as a closed system, with energy production and consumption carefully monitored and regulated to maintain balance. One of the defining features of this system is the elimination of savings. Energy certificates would expire after a set period, meaning individuals would not be able to hoard or accumulate wealth. The system is designed to ensure that all citizens consume their allotted share of resources within a given time frame, preventing any one person or group from gaining an unfair advantage. This is seen as a way to create a more equitable distribution of resources, reducing the disparities that arise from wealth accumulation in traditional economic systems. In addition to replacing the monetary system, technocracy also envisions a complete overhaul of the political structure. Traditional forms of government, including national and state legislatures, would be dismantled. In their place, decision-making authority would be concentrated in the hands of experts, scientists, engineers, and technicians, who would manage the economy according to functional and service-based needs. Governance would no longer be determined by political processes or elections, but by technical expertise and data-driven decision-making. This model is designed to maximize efficiency and sustainability. By replacing political systems and market economies with a scientifically managed technocratic system, the goal is to ensure that resources are distributed equitably and used efficiently. However, this also means that individual freedoms, such as the right to own property or save wealth, are sacrificed in the name of collective control and efficient resource management. Technocracy seeks to eliminate national sovereignty entirely. It views political boundaries as inefficient for managing resources and production. Under technocracy, decisions are made on a continental scale or even larger. Political boundaries based on historical, cultural, or national identities are irrelevant in this system, and they are seen as obstacles to efficient governance. In technocratic governance, experts, not elected officials, are the decision-makers. This system eliminates the need for political systems like Congress or state governments, which are replaced with a structure where experts manage the economy. These experts, primarily scientists and engineers, rely on technical knowledge to make decisions about how society should be organized and how resources should be distributed. The argument is that traditional politics is unqualified to deal with the complexities of modern energy systems, production, and resource allocation. Technocracy also involves functional sequences that replace the traditional political and administrative divisions. Instead of governance based on geography or political affiliations, technocracy proposes management based on the function of different sectors of society, like transportation, energy, or industrial production. These functional sequences would determine how resources are allocated, bypassing national governments and political agendas altogether. This system allows for the direct management of resources by experts, ensuring that decisions are based on technical efficiency rather than political influence or national interests. Technocrats argue that political systems are driven by short-term goals and special interests, which make them unsuitable for managing the long-term sustainability of the Earth's resources. Under technocratic governance, resources are allocated in a way that maximizes efficiency and sustainability on a global scale. The technocratic approach also envisions a global management system for the Earth's resources. In this view, resources should not be owned or controlled by individual nations. Instead, they should be managed as part of a global system that ensures fair distribution based on technical needs, not political or national considerations. The idea is that resources belong to all of humanity, not just to specific countries or regions. This model requires global cooperation and coordination, as the entire planet's resources would be managed by a single, centralized technocratic authority. National governments would be subordinate to this system, and the role of politicians would be reduced to merely following the directives set by the global technocratic leadership. Technocracy advocates for the replacement of existing political and economic structures. In this system, political governance, including national sovereignty and democracies, is considered inefficient for managing resources. All decisions would be made based on scientific data and technical expertise, focusing on energy management rather than profit or political agendas. Political systems like Congress and state governments would be abolished. In their place, decision-making would be handled through functional sequences where technocrats, composed of engineers and scientists, would oversee all aspects of society and the economy. The emphasis is on efficiency and the direct management of resources, eliminating any role for traditional political processes. Technocracy replaces the current monetary system with energy certificates distributed to all citizens. These certificates represent each individual's share of energy, ensuring that consumption is managed fairly and efficiently. The goal is to eliminate waste, improve resource management, and promote sustainability. Private property would be abolished under technocracy, and resources would be held in common for the benefit of all. The focus remains on achieving a sustainable, well-managed system where decisions are made by technical experts who understand the complexities of modern society and ensure that resources are used efficiently to meet the needs of the population. Thank you for watching. If you found this content insightful, make sure to like the video, share it, and subscribe to the channel for more deep dives into critical global topics.